Welcome to Trading Lounge and the daily US stocks, and this is produced on Saturday December the 3rd, but it's the video for Monday December the 5th. I won't be doing videos on the Tuesday or Wednesday. That said, I may be doing one sort of a fill-in video for indices on the Wednesday while I'm away visiting my mother. So yeah, look, it's kind of interesting. I mean, in a nutshell, I'm basically like bullish on the SP500 and stocks like Nvidia and Netflix and a few of those sorts of things. And but there are some, you know, when we look at the consumer discretionaries sector, we know that's and the tech sector, we know that's the weakest, right? So there are stocks like Apple, Amazon, Google, possibly Microsoft and Tesla and Meta, maybe. So I haven't quite, I mean, I can put lows in for all of those stocks. That's not a problem. We're going to look at that. We're going to look at them as lows being in place and look at the bullish side of them and ask ourselves, well, when can we safely go long in those sorts of things? But those consumer discretionaries and the tech stocks are, you know, have been the weakest, and they're the laziest ones to get off the ground. We're still seeing the US dollar go down. You know, we know we got more upside on things. When I look at, if I look at the, I'm just going to, this is, well, we've been looking at the futures market. So just on this particular chart here. So this is the S&P futures, right? So in this case, I can count up 1 and 2 here and 3 and 4 and 5 here in this case. So with this here, if I take this low and this high here, then that brings us, that's the 50%. So this, it brings us very close to the 61.8%. So that's kind of a nice thing for, you know, a wave 1 and 2 at that point, isn't it? We've talked about that, and we talked about, well, if that's the case, we'll go long above here, or we can go long above the B wave here. And we could also probably get in a little bit earlier. Let's just assume for a moment that there's 5 waves in here. We'll look at this when we do the indices video. Then there would be a pullback here for this as wave 1 and 2 in here. I'm probably doing that too big. So that means that we could also go long above that B wave of that impulse wave. But that's not what I really wanted to talk about. When I look at the SPY, the ETF here, which is much the same as the SPX to a point, that, you know, so in this case I can count 5 waves up in this little move here, and I count 1 and 2 here, and get 3 and 4 here. So I'm assuming this is impulsive as 1 and 2. So I'm thinking that 1 and 2 here, and 3 and 4 and 5 here. So then that could give us the top here at that point in that regard there. So I can just bring that up to the 100 mark there. So yeah, so, you know, I mean, so I'd be more bullish above this point here on this one, on the SPX. Basically, this is the SPY, but the SPX would be much the same. So I think we've got a 4th wave back, because it hasn't pulled back 61.8%. It's pulled back closer to 50%, probably 45 to 48% thereabouts. But yeah, so sort of showing up on two different things here. Now, as I always say, you have to be, you know, if you got to be on the right side at the right time. And, you know, what does that mean? Well, for me, it means that I look at the closest, largest number, and I ask myself, is that number supporting the market? Well, kind of is to a point. It's not actually triggered or proven yet, but it has you know, created the first high above the level. So when we look at our pattern here, the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, the retest here, and then moving up at that point. And as I mentioned, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that the pattern I just showed you is the most common pattern, and this is the second most common pattern, where it just comes back and sits on the level and then pushes up at that point. So this is what we could have here at this stage. So basically this is the retest. A lot of the time the retest will come down deeper here, but as I mentioned before, this particular correction here traveled sideways, and it didn't really travel down in an ABC correction, which is the sort of the normal flow of things. So when it travels sideways, it's actually stronger than pulling back down. Now that's we could get into an argument about that, and that's cool too, but a market that goes sideways in correction is stronger because it's not, you know, there's no sellers pushing it down, basically, you know, so it's stronger. So it doesn't, you know, doesn't need to come down here. So basically the trigger for this is taking out, we go from the top here, we go down to this one, we go down to this one. If that's going to be 5 waves here, then we can go down to the top of that, but I've got to check if that's 5 waves yet, and then there'll be an ABC back, and so on. And then you can work over to the levels halfway between 4,000 and 100 is the halfway mark, the 50 here. So if you get a tested support or a classic trading levels pattern on the 50, the midpoint, then you can start building in that point, you know, start building from that point. But yeah, so in this case, it looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to go up here. And in this case, it looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to go up here. So in one way or another, we're going to go higher. But when we get to this point here, this is just going to cause another little sort of ripple in the situation, because when I'm working with a large number like this here, like 4,000, we use group 1 as which is 1, 2, 3. So it's really only if we get a tested support on top of group 1 here that we're not working with this number anymore. We start working with the midpoint 5 here and the next section to the upside here. So but yeah, it has established itself here, so it is looking bullish. You know, as I said yesterday, we're 80% bullish on the market now, and that will just keep increasing if the market pushes up. So anyway, that's the S&P, so to speak, and we'll look at that in more detail, but just to let you know about that. And also I think it's quite interesting too, if we look at this is Vanguard's total world stock market index. So, you know, it's come off the bottom here and making a move to the upside. You know, it could be part of a larger corrective pattern and come down. But what I wanted to say about this is that I haven't labeled it, but you can see from this low here, for example, we got wave 1 and 2 here, right? And we've got this strong third wave here with a gap in it. So this is some sort of third wave here, right? Right in the middle here, so 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and then going up for wave 5 of that, just that sequence. So it's not behaving like a corrective pattern, like a C wave. You know, it's like a third wave. And when I start from the bottom here, I could probably go 1 and 2 back to this point, but I'll just take it from this point here as wave 1 here and 2 here, and then we've got the overlap on this one here. So this would have to be wave 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2 here. So it's basically 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and going into a third wave here. So that basically means that, you know, this move up here would come back. At least we would have, based on what the structure is so far, I would get another 2 highs here based on these 2 highs here to have a fuller structure here. So I just see this going up further at this point. Now, it still doesn't mean that, you know, that would take us up to the 61.8%, but it would give us 5 waves up here as well, you know. So this is not a B wave here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so this is part of that structure there. So we've got 5 waves here. So it is looking very bullish at this point. Now this is the world, basically the world stock, you know, taking on the most of the stock markets. Now this this one here, this is the iShares S&P value shares. So IVE it's called. But so if that other one is going to go up, just the world stock market's going to go up higher, I mean, this will be one of the stronger, this is the strongest sectors, basically, so it's way up here, isn't it? It's like Goldman Sachs testing the highs in a way. So this is really sort of strong here, and and I can see this is interesting here too, because I can see we've got 1 and 2 here, and 3 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got a bit of toppiness in this thing here. So it's it's a bit like the S&P at the 400. We could get more of a correction here, but we've got 5 waves here, and we've got 5 waves here. It's the same pattern as the S&P here. So it does look like we're in a bullish market at that point. The SPX here is still down quite low here in this case, and I mean, I've got this as a bearish count here, but that's I don't think that's the case, but because anyway, that's here nor there. And the other one is the low volatility stocks, which is like the value stocks, so it's the same sort of thing here. So we can look at this as the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave here. That all makes pretty much sense to me. And now we're pushing up. So we're looking at the low volatility stocks, the Berkshire Hathaways, and the same with the these value stocks as well here. So they're pushing their way up. So the market looks quite bullish. Now, it doesn't mean that all stocks are bullish, So with Apple here, we're going to look at it in 2 ways. So it hasn't really produced a very good, for example here, as I mentioned before, this little move up through here is in 3 waves, and that's the low there. So it hasn't breached that low. But I'm not very good with spikes either. Like this little spike in the market, that one little spike there throws the whole count out. So otherwise I could look at this here as 1, 2, 3 down to here, and 4 and 5 here perhaps, or something a little bit different, But basically that's the low, so we've got to work with that in that sense, So it does throw it out a little bit. So we're going to look at it in 2 different ways. So we can look at it as an A and a B and a C, and be a bit philosophical about this, and then look at this as 1 and 2 and continue to move up here, right? That's one way we're going to look at it. The other way is to we've got to stay with reality. It's we've got, the pattern is what it is. So we could look at this as a WXY over here, which would make this here an A wave here basically, and a B wave, or A wave to here, sorry, an ABC to here, and an ABC to here, and then down to that point. We'll have a look at that. So we're going to look at a market. We're going to be tracking this market in terms of in 2 counts, and that would be that one of them just develops on here and just continues to the upside. The other one has 5 waves up here and then comes down as a double bottom here, and then pushes up at that point. It could drop a bit lower than that. It's not a drama, but yeah, I mean, there's a few things going on with Apple at the moment, isn't it? With Foxconn and whatnot in China. I don't know how much that affects everything, but it's not definitely not a pretty picture over there, is it? So yeah, so we're going to track it in 2 different ways. So we've got a bullish count on the 20k tick, and 1 and 100. I think the 100 is normally my working chart, and I'll have bearish and bullish counts on that because that's where all the detail is. And the bearish count is the 50, the 10, and the 5. So we'll have a look at the bearish count first, which will bring this down here, and then we'll have a look at the bullish count. And like I said, the consumer discretionaries and the tech stocks, they're the weakest out of the bunch, So they're either going to be followers, or they've got more lows to make in the market. As simple as that. So so we've got 50, 10, and 5. So let's go in and have a look at that. Sorry for yakking so much, but so a bit, yeah. So this this situation here. So looking at this here as basically an A, B, C to here, and then an A and a B and a C to here. So just basically 5 waves up here, and then a move down, and then a move up, you know, making new highs after that. So we just go into the 10 and the 5 and just get a little bit more detail on that situation. So the B wave here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. And I don't think we really need to go to the 5, but yeah, it doesn't really say much else. So now we'll go back to the daily chart, and I'll just pick up, I know we're on the 20 for the bullish, and 21 and 5. So we'll just go to the bullish count here. So yeah, well, this is the 2 ways I'm looking at this. It's possible to have this as wave 1 up here, and then the A, the B, and the C. That's another way to look at it, but I don't know if that's correct, and it puts it way in front of all the other markets. Well, not that really. Well, it does and it doesn't. I mean, you got Netflix down there doing the same, and same but different, you know. Nvidia is not too far behind, but you know, quite a few months behind so it's possible to look at it like this. I don't know if it is or not, but it it's not the thing that interests me at the moment. So what interests me at the moment is that it's really just seeing this here first. If this is wave 1 and 2, a bit like the S&P on the futures, and we go 3, 4, and 5 up here. Now, I'm not sure how far that's going to drift away from this number, because big markets moving away from numbers without the retest coming back and testing it. Once it's retested, they're free to go. But when they haven't retested it, this number's like a magnet, it pulls it to itself. So but this is where we will catch it as well, by the way, you know, on the bullish side. So this is where it will separate, because as the bearish count, we'll have 5 waves up and then it'll come down. But from this low here, let's just assume for a moment we get our 5 waves up here, say in anywhere from this little high here to 60, I'd imagine, somewhere in amongst that. Then what will happen here is that we'll get some sort of corrective pattern here. Right now, it might be a little bit different than this. It might be something like this, if it's going to retest the 50 and then just move off from that point, or sink into it. But whatever happens at that point, then that B wave is our ticket to ride at that stage. Right, so that's how I will resolve that. But in the meantime, you can certainly go long in here if you wanted to. There's a few different ways I can look at this particular count here and this one here, but let's go in and have a bit of a look at that. Let me just clean these up first. We don't really need them. They'll just, can't have too many objects on the chart. Oh no, I'm at my max. So we can go to 1 and 100. 1K here, just to sort of drill in a little bit. So yeah, this is it. It wasn't looking very bullish at this point, but you know, we can put it there. The other way to look at that's not a high here, so we could look at this as an ABC pattern here for a wave 4 as well. So I was kind of in 2 minds, you know, with this. So we could put wave 4 here as well for that. But the main gist here is that we should be heading up here. The other point, I will look at this on the 100 ticks. 100 ticks, because I just want to look at group. Oh, I got group 2 in here already. Okay, so I've got this one here as as 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 up here, an A and a B and a C for wave 4, pulling back to the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree. That's what we're looking for yesterday. And then we'll be pushing up here, just so it looks like it's doing everything that it's supposed to do at this point. So in this case, I don't have that blue wave 1 up there. I'm looking for that now. Do you know what I mean? So we'll get a classic trading levels pattern across here. So we'll look for the long a little bit. You can trade up here, but you know, I'll look for the better setup on the 150 here. But I just wanted to point out here that the levels between 140 and 150, we just got the Fibonacci sequence of 1, 2, and 3 that make up group 1, and then the midpoint, and then number 8. When we talk about 8, we talk about group 2, and you can see here that it's trying to find support within group 2. Now the first thing here is the 14650. That's the lower end of group 2. So that's what it's trying to do. So when you can see that, like, that's not support here, right? Moving up, that's just part of the process, so it needs to come back and check it. But I could say that looking at this here now, this is a series of that's 1 and ABC for 2, this is 1 ABC for 2, up for 1, back for 2, up for 1. So I know it's pushing up. I'm not sure about that little guy there, I'd have to double check that, but yeah, it's pushing, so that's it's going to get support there on that. Okay, that's enough waffling about that. Nvidia is one of those markets that I believe the low is in place, right? So but still that doesn't really sort of help us, doesn't help us in the big sense as well. We're looking from the low here, we're looking at 1 and 2, 3, 4, going up for 5 here. So I am looking for some sort of top to come into play here. I want some sort of ABC pattern over here for this to go into the next leg with all of this. But in the meantime, we're looking at this as 1 and 2 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 3rd, 4th and 5th. So it will push up too. So it's a bit like the SPY and the Nasdaq as well. This is the same. Getting this top in play here and then finding our entry over this side of the fence, you know. So that's Nvidia. So Nvidia goes into the bullish list. Okay. Then we've got Amazon here, which is in basically the bearish list, a little bit with Apple and possibly Tesla, Meta and Google and Microsoft. But I think Google and Microsoft have got good cases for bullish cases. So does Tesla actually. And I could do the same for Meta stock. So we'll have to play two hands. So with this here, I was looking at wave 3 here with an A and a B and a C wave up here. For wave 4, then coming down, making one more low. Now that may or may not be the case. So the way that I'll handle it on the bullish side is look at this as 1 and 2 over here, alternative 2, and building up here. So if I get a nice trading setup on top of the 100, then we're going to go long at that point with this market. Okay, simple as that. So basically just looking for the trade setup. In the meantime, however, in the meantime, we should be able to go long here. But the thing is that you want this number here, 95. If you want to go long on this market, look for a classic trading levels pattern on 9 here, on 95, sorry. That's what you're looking for. Okay, so you're looking for, we've got the arrival there. So we've got the arrival reaction, that first high above the level, then the ABC correction. Okay. And over to Meta. So with Meta here, we can look at, I've just redone this chart here. So it's possible to have a look at this as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave down here. Then we've got the low in place as 1 and 2. The other side to this is that we have a move up here, a bit like Amazon that we just looked at. It's in the same boat, and we can have one more low here. So, yeah, I mean, we counted 5 waves up here, if you remember, so we're going to get another 5 over here for that. But it doesn't mean that it's bullish, but it's like, you know, if you wanted to go long, you can just leave the stop under here if you wanted to, because that shouldn't be breached at that point. That's one way to look at it. Let me just have a little look here. So, I mean, daily chart here, then we'll go to the 1000. So this was the other way to look at it with wave 4 moving up here. So this wave 4 moving to this wave 4 here, and this A wave here should have roughly the same length to this. But this is reminding me of a wave 2 rather than an A and a B wave here, and a C is sort of, it's, yeah. So, but anyway, we just need to be a little bit careful. I mean, once we get a situation where we've got, I know it's a little bit sort of late, but that's the 3 wave move here, coming back close to here somewhere. But if it gives us 5 waves up like this, then we can turn bullish, but we'll get an ABC here. I'm probably making the ABC a little bit big here, but if we get that ABC, if we get 5 here, we can buy the 61.8% pullback. So yeah, no need to get FOMO'd out here, but if you want to go long, stops under here, that's for the longer term anyway. Short-term trading is a little bit different, because if this was longer term trading, then that low won't be breached at this point. we might need to adjust it if we get the pullback here, but yeah. So yeah, look, I'm a bit of a scaredy cat, so I just like to get my 5 waves, you know, especially when you've got some big bear market like this. So you need to you know, and it's all, you know, you'd get a bounce off 100. 100 is the strongest number, and it may even hold the market, you know, but once again, it hasn't been retested, you know, so it's sort of floating in space a little bit. Anyway, we'll just go through to, I'll just see where we are. I don't know what I've done on the 1000, if I've updated this. Oh yeah, it's good. That's good enough. So yeah, so basically we've been looking here for, we counted 5 waves up here for the A wave, the B wave, and then looking up here for this. I'm just going to go to 100 ticks to just drill in on that a little bit. I'll just see where we are with that. And 5k is more than enough. So yeah, look, I've been over this, you know, I called it as 5 waves right from the get-go, but I went over it this morning as well just to double check everything, that, you know, that I haven't got a corrective pattern here, you know, because these are the I don't know if the devil's in the detail or God's in the detail, or if anybody's in the detail, but we can have it as wave A or wave 1 and wave 2 here, and then 1 and 2. So I'm just building to the upside here with this. Now I've actually got this a little ending a little bit short here from wave 4 here. I've got 1 2 3 4 5 for 1 and 2, then I've got 3 and 4 here, and I was looking for 5, so I've got, looks like I've got 1 and 2, 1 2 3 4 5. So yeah, probably up to the 125. Look, it can go further. It's just that I could see this being playing like a wave 4 here. I haven't, that wasn't there the time I did the chart earlier, but yeah, so and just be a little bit mindful here, because you know, there's a beginning, there's a middle, this is the middle, and then there's an end of a trend. This is sort of the ending of the trend, even though it can go higher, you know. So longer term traders can put stops below here for this. But that's what you'd be soaking up at that point. I don't know, you know, everybody manages their risk differently. Some don't manage it at all, by the way, but yeah, you've got to be careful with stops. They're the things that make you lose your money as well. So you just got to be confident in the trend, you know, and the only confidence I can have if I'm going in, I mean, I shoulda, woulda, coulda had this as the entry over here. That would have been the right place to do it, off the B wave here or something, or even down here on this 110 level at this level here, but I didn't. But anyway, I just will be, if this is going to be 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5 up here for wave 1 and pull back for wave 2 here. If we see this as a corrective pattern, if I see it as a corrective pattern, as an ABC pattern, we'll go long above the B wave. Now, this could push up here further, and we'll end up, you know, rinse and repeat up here with this. But that's that, wherever that B wave is, if it's over here, 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 wherever it is, that's what we'll be going along on, okay? Alrighty, so Netflix here, there's 2 things I can look at here. I can look at it as all of this as wave 1 and 2 here, and then 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. That kind of makes sense. Or I could look at this wave 5 here, ending in here, 1 2 3 4 5 here, ending in this, in an ending sort of diagonal here, and have 1 and 2 and a bigger pullback here. So as I mentioned yesterday, what we would do here is that we'll just let this top play out, because see this level here, it's, you know, it got here and it got smashed, then it got a bit higher and dropped a bit lower, and now it's pushed up even higher here. At some point it will push back here, and when it pushes back here, I won't go to the intraday today on this, but when it pulls back here and checks this again, then we'll have that top here exposed, and then we'll be able to bring that down to the second level here, and then that will be the safe trade to the upside, and then that way we'll have this number here tested, major trading level 3, and we can be on our way up to 4 at that point. But I just don't want to get you long here and get trapped in a deeper pullback in here for this, you know. So we'll just chill on that for a little bit, and we kind of want, yeah, just kind of got everything sorted out. Enphase here, so everything's looking pretty rosy here now. We've cleared that top there, so we've got 1 2 3 4 and then going up for 5 here. So we've got wave 1 and 2. This is all part of wave 3. That wave 3 should probably give us up to this point here, and then be the arrival, the reaction, and then the first high above the level, something of that nature, you know. Yeah, a little bit complicated on the 100 chart for all of this in here, but so wave 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and then building up here. I'll need to give this some consideration here, but from this series of 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, this is it's acting and displaying like it should do as a powerful move. So this should just continue to be powerful up here, and if you wanted to add to it again, you can do that. You can add to it on the 350. There will be a little bit of a dance here, but it won't be dancing there for too long, I don't think, because of this particular build up of the structure here. You know, this is takeoff here. We got the takeoff here. You know, you know, we had trades in here. We were long here. We had some longs in here, and then I got scared and took us out. But I feel like it. You know, I feel like I kind of did the right thing, because obviously I did the wrong thing, but at the time I felt I did the right thing by protecting profits and you know, either getting to breaking even or cashing in some amount, because of where we were with the S&P and things, and then move back in again. But that's the thing, you know, that's a good thing about trading. You know, it's not like a horse race. You put your money on the horse and the gates open, and then there's nothing you can do about managing that risk, is there? You know. But with trading, at least you can get out and get back in. You know, you can do things like that, so there's a lot more flexibility, so there's no excuses really. Okay, enough, got myself off the hook there. Okay, so Tesla here, it's just a daily chart, and I just wanted to point out here, it's probably not the low, but from this particular point here, when you're looking up here, it's just to let you know that, and you know this anyway if you're in love with this stock, but it has pulled back to the 61.8% nicely here. I mean, you'd probably need to adjust it down here a little bit better and so on, but just pointing out that it's in that vicinity, you know, and I think that's kind of interesting within itself. I can look at it as the A, the B, and the C wave down here, and be completed here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can have a low in place. So it's a little bit like Meta and those sorts of things. So I do have, well, it's exactly like Meta really in terms of the pattern to the upside. I've got 5 waves in this first move here, not a problem, and I've got this one here. But if we get you know, I've got to look at until I've got a nice decent 5 waves here, or something that I can call not corrective, and I've got a nice tested support on here, then, you know, because I want a nice classic trading levels pattern sitting on there, I want that sitting on there, and, you know, it may end up being a bit more like this here. It's sort of sitting on there and moving up. I'm not quite sure yet. We can look at it being bullish and bearish. Today it was down, but it was on lower volume coming down, so we know that that's corrective and that will push up. So yeah, at the same time we got bearish count for this as well. I just don't know what it's on here, what's on the 50k. So we've got the bearish count on the 50k, and then we'll go 1 and 100 or something. So 50k. Oh no, that's, oh yeah, this is, yeah, so just looking at a bit, rearranging it a little bit here. So looking at this as the B wave before, I don't know if you noticed we had the B wave over here. This is not the high, that's the high, but it did give me a nice A, B, C pattern here, and then this doesn't, I mean, you could force it to be this, but just, yeah, anyway, I won't go into all of that because I haven't really resolved it. That's the truth of the matter. But 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here. A bit of an adjustment on here, and looking at this as a wave 4 here, and then down for a wave 5 here. So a slightly different sort of pattern. So it's okay to have a look at the bear. If you're going to go long, you want to know what the bearish pattern is. You want to know what the risk is. You want to know what you're up against. And so this is it, So this could pull up to 220. So this is why we've got to be careful. I've got to be careful of how I view this structure here and how we move into it, I mean, the normal thing is when we move into the market, if we're happy with the structure and we've got a tested support on top of the 2 here, well, then I like to pick up a little bit at the 2 and then on 10 and then 20 and then 30. If we get a tested support on 30, that's the top of minor group 1 of major trading level 2, then a tested support on the 230, that means it separates the being pulled back to this number, and it'll be pulled to the 250 at that point, and then it's the magnet here has got no power over it at that point. And you can see all that kind of operating in the market depth. But yeah, so anyway, that's what we need to work with. So we've got 1 and 1 here. I can't remember which one we're working with, but we'll just see what I've updated and haven't updated. So this is the bullish pattern. Okay, so we have been counting 5 waves up here, so that's wave 1 and 2. I can see that that's corrective, and we also know that that's on lower volume as well, so that's going to push up there. So we'll push up into there. That will be interesting, because that will give us, it looks like a wave 4. So it looks like maybe I'll just check on that, but yeah. But anyway, this is a classic trading levels pattern right here. So we've got the arrival, the reaction. It's corrective. It's on lower volume. We'll see the first high above the level, and then we'll see some sort of correction coming back. It will find support back into this space here, and then we'll see if it pushes up at that point. Once again, a bit like Meta, would need to leave the stop under here for this as well, if you were going for the long haul, because basically anything from here to that high here, it can pull back 61.8%. And we'll also need to be a bit mindful as well. I mean, this might just be wave 1 here and 2 here for this, for the next move to the upside. So then wave 3 will be further up here somewhere. So we kind of do have to move into it, but I do, I mean, we do got to kind of make a move at some point. So I'll just, we can, we don't have to bet the wife and the kids on this setup here. Do you know what I mean? We can just put your favorite toy on there, the Harley or something, Okay, anyway, let's just go to 100 ticks and check on that. So I've got this here, this move up here that we've been counting as wave 1 or whatever, as 1, 2, 3. I've taken a bit of liberty here as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. I'm not worrying about the spike. And looking at it as the A wave and the B wave here, and we can also look at it as wave 1 and wave 2 here. Okay, so that's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. That's what I've done. So wave 4 is pretty humongous, but yeah. So we'll see that push up into here somewhere. So it's okay to trade it up. But do get out at the 200 if you're day trading, and then we'll look for the setup on that side, the other side. So Google and Microsoft have basically got the same patterns here. So what can happen here, I reckon, is that we could have from wave B here, we can have 1, 2, 3, 4 to here, or 4 to here, and have 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 5 up here. So I think that would be basically the top of the market at that point. So this will be a little bit, I will check with Microsoft in a moment where that is. I think we need to take it from here. If we take it from here, let me just put this in both places here for a moment. I've just got to think this out a bit. I mean, if it's from here, then we'll have to look at another move up here, another as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, a bit like, yeah, some of the other markets. So I've got to kind of resolve this top a little bit here, but yeah, so let me just I mean, it can certainly be bullish. This is my bullish pattern here with with the A, the B, and the C down to here. The problem that I've had with this, though, is that this move down here is in 3 waves. But I think I've got to kind of, that was when it had its earnings, or whatever it was, announcement. It just basically gapped down. So it didn't really give me a nice structure. I could count 5 waves in this move here. So I always figured that we could look at, this is, well, an A and a B and a C wave over here. And that's why I'm trying to get rid of that, move past the C wave, so I can look at it as wave 1 here and then wave 2, which I think it is. You know, I think, you know, I got to kind of follow the rules, but I also know that being a bit philosophical about the situation can be quite helpful, as long as you don't sort of get too lazy on the philosophical side of it and start, you know, doing your own BS on it, you know. So I've got to find a balance on my own BS and whatnot. So just have a look at, this is Microsoft here. So I can, yeah, so I can call a low in here, right? I'll put this wave C in here, or I've got to look at it as a W and an X and a Y over here with an A and then an A, B, C over here, and then down to this point. This is what I mean, is that, you know, I'll just explain this a little bit so it goes on. There's stocks that have pushed way up quite nicely, say the Berkshire Hathaway, the value stocks, right? And they could come back as an A and a B and a C wave here, right? So they'll, you know, come back at that point. And then you've got stocks like this that haven't really lifted off the low very much. So their move up here, when they move up, they could quite easily just make a move down and make their low and then move up. Do you know what I mean? Make a low below their previous low here, and then these move up, and then this moves up as well. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm kind of trying to figure out, you know. So the Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Apple, maybe Meta, maybe Tesla, they're all in this bunch here, you know. The Nvidias are in this bunch here, the Netflix and all those dudes, you know, and Enphase, and, you know, there's plenty of other bullish stocks, you know. Yeah, so yeah, that's kind of it in a bit of a nutshell. So you can see here that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 here and going up for 5 here. So we're quite close at the top here. I don't have to rush this out here, because this 5 waves up here, wherever it tops out at, you know, it's going to have some type of, it's going to correct that trend there. And then in that correction, as the B wave here, that's where we're going to get in, you know. I'll be able to improve on that, but in a nutshell, that's it. So if we were looking for wave 2 at that point, that would be, you know, it at this, you know, taking it out at that point. So anyway, that's my mud map explanation of high quality technical analysis. Let's just see how the cookie crumbles. I want to put group 2 back in. Yeah, let's just go in here and have a look at this anyway. 100 ticks. Are we on okay for 100 ticks? Okay, so I haven't updated any of this. Can I put wave 5 there? Is that doable? What's all that mean there? Yeah, maybe, but I'll go wave 4 here, I think. Oh, could be. Yeah, anyway, we're certainly going higher, so we'll just plonk this over here. That'll give us 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 up there. So just getting a bit more data here. Try to pick that low up a little bit. So yeah, we've been working with this wave 4 to this point. Tempting to go long here, I have to say, but can't really look at this as one. This is more like an A wave and a B wave. Oh, I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who made the low there? That will be the answer. I won't spend too much on this. Okay, so that's doable at that point. I'm just going to remove that. That will just make me know that it's possible. I'll just leave that there. So we're not there yet, but the thing is that because Friday closed strong, that means Monday's going to push up as well. So it's going to push up, you know. How far it goes up, you know, I'm just thinking, I'm trying to find the move back on this, you know. That's what I'm looking for, you know. But certainly day traders can push up, you know, further up into all of that. Okay, so moving on. So old Bertie here. So I've got, and I've had this as the A wave here, then an A and a B and a C into the box here. That's still valid. I could also look at this move, open that up a little bit. I could also look at this move to the upside here as wave one, these 5 waves here, right? Yes, it could push a little bit higher, but you can see, as I mentioned yesterday, it's very strong here, and then it's just not going anywhere now, is it? Do you know what I mean? In fact, you're getting that creep overlapping wave structures here. The low takes out the previous high here, so it's creeping to the upside. So we're in a top space here somewhere. So really all of this hasn't been corrected. Yes, it can still move up. We could look at, I could, you know, even though I've got it as 5 waves here, I could certainly look at it differently here. So if you're trading this long, you're better off staying long. I can put this here for this. I can go 1 and 2, 1 and 2 here, and look at this as wave 3 here, 1, 2, 3. Because if any stock's going to go higher, it will be this one. You know, and we can go up here further for wave, what's the name up here, and then put this up here for this, you know. So there's no point in getting out of this stock if you're long, you know. But so it can certainly push higher with all of this. That's not a problem. But anyway, we wanted to count 5 waves up into the box. We're at that point now. So next week will be later next week. Once I understand where the S&P and the NASDAQ is and those sorts of things, then we can start going. But basically, you know, I would say that this is, you know, bullish at this point. I don't know if I've got this on. Oops, I haven't got anything on that chart. Didn't mean to click that. One day, they don't clean their data up here. I thought I had another. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I mean, basically what I wanted to say was that it does count okay as the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave here. It just doesn't give me a nice C wave here at this point. There's overlapping wave structures, and it's really quite messy. But we can have a low in for that. Okay, with square here, there's a couple of things here. That's the low. I could look at this, as I mentioned before. I could look at this as one. I probably could look at this as wave 1 here with an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave for wave 2, and then look at this as 3, 4, and 5 up here. But the problem, anyway, it just counts better as a corrective wave. Also, this move down here counts better as as an impulse wave, as 1 and 2. Unless I didn't worry about that gap, that spike here, this spike that occurred here. If I didn't use that and I used this over here, then I could go an A and a B and a C wave down here, and then look at this up here. But what I decided to do was, well, just include the spike, and because we've got this move here counts better as being corrective. It can be counted as an impulse wave. This counts better as an impulse wave, so we should come down as wave 1, go back for here, and then have one more low in the market here. So this is one of these stocks that can have another low. So, but I'm always mindful of both sides, but I have to find the right point to be able to act on the long side from here, because I don't have a strong case for the long side. I've got this as the A wave, the B wave here, then 1 and 2 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave, A, B, C for the fourth, and we'll go up for the fifth, right? So we'll push up here for the fifth, and then that top will play out there. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So it means that we can go long after that. Now we can improve on that because we'll get an ABC coming back on this and then going up at that point. But the thing is that because of all of the rest of this structure here is not really presenting a strong bullish case, it could be, but not really presenting it as such. So we can also come down at this point and make one more new low here and then go up from that point. So we just need to be a bit diligent and careful at this point. But it's getting itself into a corner, and we'll just be waiting when it comes out. Okay, the Bank of America, we talked about shorting this yesterday, basically because there's a good case that we can have this top in play here as the wave C here of B. And if that's the case, then this can come all the way down here for this. It's a long way down. I don't know if that is the case, or do we need to look at this move here as wave 1 to the upside. This is probably, out of the 3 banks that we follow, this is the weakest because it hasn't gotten to its 50-60% retracement level. Okay, so we did talk about shorting it under here. So now you need to keep the stop above the top here on that. JP here, we talked about having a top in play here yesterday, or the 140. So it looks like it sort of had its first little bit of weakness come into the market. Once again with this, do we call it as wave C of B up here and it's finished, or do we look at it as wave 1 up here and we come back for wave 2? As I mentioned yesterday, we can see that this is sort of, you know, folding, is sort of rolling over. It's still got more to go, and look, it could probably still just, you know, push up here, and you know, it still need to do a dance across here a little bit. I wouldn't want to go long and I wouldn't want to go short at the moment. I don't have any sort of particular evidence on anything at the moment. It's, you know, this could still be a deeper wave 4 over here with a wave 5 sitting over here with this as well. Anyway, if we were going to go long in this market, what we'd want to see is we'd want to have we want to know that the rest of the world is bullish, and we want to see some sort of corrective pattern that we could work with over this side. Now, this may not happen exactly where I've got it here. It may end up happening further up at the 150 if this is going to push up, you know. That's 5 waves there anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that can't be like that. I've either got the top in, or that's wave 4 here. Anyway, I'm not too fussed about these at the moment, and the same with old Goldilocks here. And yeah, I haven't really sort of figured out this, but I know that we're close to a top here. You know, we could get one more move to the upside. If you're going to short this, you'd want to short it, you know, at least with the 372 as the retested resistance at that point. I'll need to do some work on this inside here, but you know, this is one of the strongest banks and one of the markets that's moved up the most. And you know, do we look at it as wave 1 and 2 here? And you know, going up for 3, 4 and 5, moving up here higher, or is this the A, the B and the C up here, and then we come down for this move over here? That's always been on the cards for me at this stage. So we'll see. But anyway, it's no point in going long up here anyway, because it's like at the old high, isn't it? You know, this is where you'd be getting out if you were long. Okay, well, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. Cheers.